This lesson is going to be a lesson on portraiture and how to draw a portrait face and shoulders view. So we're going to be just concentrating on the head and shoulders today, and we're going to be concentrating on getting the eyes, nose, and mouth in the proper place and getting all the proportions as correct as we can. To do that in a fun way, we're going to be doing a portrait playing card, and we're going to be making a king, queen, jack, or joker. That will be your choice as to what you want to make it into later on. So we're going to take our cue from actual playing cards and then change it a little bit so that it is symmetrical. Now, a true playing card you see over here, this is a queen, and typically they're looking off to the side, and you can see the bottom and the top, they're looking two different directions. But for our purposes, we're going to be making them look straight on. So you'll see here the king is looking straight, and this is a mirror image. This means if you would divide this directly in half, the top and the bottom are exactly the same. So I'll show you a technique to get that accomplished as well. But first, we want to make sure that we're all on the same page so that we start correctly. Let me just go through a little bit about the playing cards to show you how to do that. So here's a queen, a king, a jack, and notice it has a rectangle around it. It has the first letter of what it is and the suit in the corner. And also it is on the playing card itself, and often there are clues to what it is in the portrait itself. So if you look here inside this king of clubs, you're going to see some clubs. So it kind of gives us an idea. Same thing here for the queen. Right here in her outfit, there are hearts. So you can get an idea about what suit it is. I'll go over that a little bit more later when it's time to do that. But just keep in mind, that's something that we can add later. Now to start, we're going to be starting out by making half of the card, which is going to be the full head and shoulders view of the portrait. And then we can add whatever suit we want in the corner. So I'll show you how to do that. The first thing we want to do, you're going to get a blank paper, and you're going to be folding the blank paper in half like you would make a card. So I'm just going to fold it over like this. Okay, so it would be like I made a card. Not this way, not like that, where it's long and tall. That's the wrong direction. That's not going to work. We're going to be folding it in half like a card. And then I'm just going to set that off to the side. You're also, if you're in my class, you're going to get a pattern. Now, if you're not in my class, if you're working at home, don't worry about not having a pattern. I'll go over that in a minute. But if you do have the pattern, here's what you're going to do. You're going to make sure that you fold that over like a card as well. So I have it like this. I'm going to flip it so I just see the blank side, and then I'm going to fold it over like a card so that I do see the pattern like that. All right, so this is what we have if we have half of it showing. If you do not have the pattern, then you can work directly on this. If you have the pattern, we're going to put the pattern underneath. So in order to do that, I'm just going to open up the pattern like that. You can see it kind of sits on here like a tent. And I'm going to take my other paper and I'm going to put it on there like a tent as well, like that. And I'm going to line up the folds, and then I'm going to fold it in half like that so that I can see, I don't know if you can see this on the video, but I can see underneath, I can see what to trace. And the reason I do this is so that we don't have to spend 20 minutes in class for everyone to get the exact shape that they want. Now, if you're working from home, not a big deal. you can do this. You can just draw very simple shapes to start. I've zoomed in on this a little bit so that you can see a little bit better what I'm doing on my paper. So if you are working in class and you have the pattern underneath, we're going to keep this folded. If you are working from home, then you should have your blank paper like this, folded with the opening at the top. All right, it's really, really important that the opening is at the top. So I'm going to make a U pretty much in the middle of the paper here. And if you're doing this in class, you can trace the U. If you're doing it at home, you can just draw the U. So you can see about what size it is. You want a little space below it and a little space above it. If you're doing this in class also, you will see the paper here is pretty thin, so you can see through it. You should be able to see very easily what to trace. If you're at home, just go ahead and make a line on the top of the U. We're also going to come down and not at the very bottom of the U, but come up a little bit. And this is going to be the shoulders. So I'm going to add the shoulders. And I'm going to come on this side and add this side of the shoulders. And I'm not going completely to the edge, but I'm leaving about an inch, inch and a half over there at the edge. The next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and place little markers for where I want to put the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. Now, typically, you know, this would not be the top of the head. The top of the head would be like up here somewhere. So the eyes are about in the center of the head. So if I go from about here to the bottom of here, right about there is going to be the center. So it'll be near the top of my U. I'm going to make a little dot right here and right there so that later on I can just use this as a guideline for where I want my eyes to be. Also, the nose is halfway between the eyes and the chin. So I'm going to make just a little mark. No, do not make these big. All right, you don't want your portrait to look like you have a pig nose or anything like that. So I'm just making a little dot. I'm actually making these a little larger on this video than you should do. Just dot your pencil there just so you know where it is. Also for the mouth is halfway between the nose and the chin. So about halfway, we're going to be putting a dot where the end of the mouth would be. Now it would be found about right down from the eye. So I'm going to go down from the eye and about halfway. If you want to actually make a little very, very, very light line right there so that you know about halfway from the nose to the chin where that is. And again, I'm going to put a dot. I'm going to make this bigger on the video than you really need to make it. You can just put a dot there with your pencil. I'm going to come down on the other side and I'm going to put a dot there as well. If you have the pattern underneath, I have dots under there. Remember, don't make this a huge dot. Just take your pencil and just put a little dot there that you can barely see. Again, for the video, I'm making this way bigger than it needs to be. If you have made any indications of lines on your picture, we can erase those. So once again, this is not the top of the head. That's just the top of the face part that you can see. The actual top of the head would be about right here. And if you take from here to the chin, halfway, that's where the eyes go. If you take from the eyes to the chin, about halfway, that's where the nose would go on that line. If you take from the nose to the chin, either about a third to halfway, not more than half. You can make it a little less than half, but don't put it more than half or you'll have your mouth down in the chin. So sometimes, a lot of times I like to draw little guidelines, and that helps me whenever I'm making my eyes, nose, and mouth, get them in the correct position. This is especially important if you're working from home because you don't have these little dots underneath here that I've included for the students in class. So you're going to want to plot this. Don't draw really hard because then you can't erase it. So right now I went ahead and plotted those with lines, so I'm going to take a minute to just erase those. Don't erase your dots, you need those, but I don't really need any of these lines that I drew to plot these. But if you're drawing this on your own, if you ever draw a portrait on your own, you're going to need to know that the eyes are in the middle. Too many times students draw the eyes like right about where I put the top of the U. They want to draw the eyes way up in the forehead somewhere. The eyes are halfway from the top of the head to the chin. Then the nose is halfway between the eyes and the chin, right there. And then the mouth is no further down than halfway. A lot of times it'll be maybe a third of the way down. Certainly never past that. All right, so I got this all cleaned up and I'm ready to go. For the eyes, these little dots that we made, we can actually make them just a little bit bigger. And these will be the inside of the eyes. This is pretty small, so I'm not really going to be worrying about too much color or anything at this point. Now, above it, I'm going to put, this is kind of like a half of a football shape. And I'm drawing way darker on this video than you really need to. Draw lightly at first. That way, if you have to erase it, it's really, really easy to erase. So again, just a curved line above, kind of like a half a football shape. And then I'm going to draw just a little bit bigger of a circle. It's not going to be a complete circle because this line right here cuts it off, but I'm just going to draw a little bit bigger underneath, and that's the colored part of the eye. I'm not really going to worry about anything at the bottom. I mean, you could put something in, but typically on something this small, we don't really need to have to worry about that right now. A little above this curved line, we can add the line for the eyelid. So I'm going to just follow this curve. Some people have eyelids that barely show. Other people have eyelids that show a lot. That's one of the things that make us look unique. So when you're doing this, but certainly don't put it up here. Don't put your eyelid up in your forehead. We need to have space up there for an eyebrow, which we can go ahead and we can put our eyebrow up there. So we're going to come above this line that we made for the eyelid, and we're going to put an eyebrow. So I'm going to go ahead and just make an arch for the eyebrow. And I'm going to make this double. I can fill that in with color later on. People have all different kinds of eyebrow shapes, so you can make the eyebrow shape that you want for your person. Let's move down to the nose. Once we're done with the eyebrows, give you some time to make those eyebrows. We can color that in later. Let's move down to the nose. Okay, this should be kind of down from the inside of the eye, and it should be not, please do not do this. All right, I have people doing that. All right, that is not going to look good. So keep it very, very, very small. Okay, just a dot. Again, I made it even more on this video than you really should, just a very small dot. I'm going to go side to side, just ever so slightly, just slightly side to side. And then I'm going to kind of put, like, you're all familiar with parentheses from math class. I'm going to put kind of like a very small parentheses around here. Not very big. If you'd like, you can also put like a little V in here. You can see it's starting to look like a nose. Let's check it. Come down from your eye here. This parentheses shouldn't really be too much beyond. If I drew down from the top of the eye here, this parenthesis really shouldn't be too far in from that or too far out from that either. It should be pretty close to about the right down from the inside of your eye. So that was just a guide mark. I'm going to erase that out. Now for the sides of the nose, I'm not going to come from the eye down. A lot of people do that. If you can even feel this on yourself, the indent for your eyes comes from your eyebrow, not just from your eye. So I'm going to come up from the eyebrow way up here, and I'm just going to make a curved line that comes towards my nose. And then I'm going to go from the other eyebrow and just make a curved line that comes down towards the nose. Okay, and that's my nose. Again, you don't want to come straight down. Nobody really has a straight nose like that. And you don't want to make these nostrils large or round, because again, it'll look like a pig nose. If you did that and it ends up looking like a pig nose, erase those little marks, make just a tiny little side to side, and then you can add your little V, and that'll make it look so much better. So just take a look at your nose, make any adjustments that you think you need for the nose. For the mouth, I'm going to use these lines as my guidelines for the mouth. Again, yours should not be as large or as dark as I have. I'm just doing that for the video so you can see this. I'm going to, though, go ahead and connect them. And above this line, I'm going to assume this person has their mouth closed, because that's on a playing card. That's mostly the way that the people are portrayed, the kings and queens, jacks and jokers. So I'm going to do a closed mouth on this one. Try to find about the middle, and that's usually pretty much down from the nose, the middle of the nose. And I'm going to come up just a tiny little bit, and I'm going to make a little V. Tiny, tiny little V. See how tiny it is? And then I'm going to connect that V to the edge of the mouth, which is that little dot. And I'm going to connect this one to the edge of the mouth, which is that little dot. Underneath that, I'm going to do the bottom lip. So we don't want to do something really large, okay? You're not going to make a U. You're going to just make a very shallow curved line like that. So you can make your lips. Some people have very thin lips. Some people have fuller lips, but nobody's going to have lips like an entire U. So just be careful of how big you make that bottom lip. If these side marks are showing too much, you can always go in and just erase a little bit so that those dots aren't as apparent. Those were just guide marks, little dots, so we knew where the mouth would end, but you don't really need to have dots there. We have our basic face done now, so at this point you can decide what you would like to have this person be. So do you want it to be a queen? Do you want it to be a king, a jack, a joker? There are many different ways you can go about making each of these, but the key here is on these, you will need to have a crown, or you will need to have a hat in the case of the joker. So whether you're making a hat or a crown, what you're going to need to do is up here where we have this line, we need to just go a little bit beyond that. So I'm just going to come out a little bit on either side. So just extend this line out a little bit. From here down, that's where we're going to make the hair. And these were portraying mostly medieval style hair. So if you look at an actual playing card. See how the king, his hair is pretty long and he has a beard. A lot of times they'll put these little swirls and lines in there. Sometimes they have a mustache. You look at the jack. Again, he's got long hair and lots of lines and some swirls. He doesn't have a mustache. On my example here, I made a crown. I'm making the king of diamonds, so I put a crown on here, and I added a mustache and a beard. And you can see also, see how the head goes up beyond the crown? So on here, I kind of have marked where the top of the head is. Not all the way up at the top, but pretty close to the top of the page. So make sure that you come up enough. And we're going to start to draw the crown and the hair and the facial hair if it's going to have that. Obviously, if it's a queen, we're not going to have that, but you might want to add eyelashes and other things like that if it's a queen. So let's go back to our portrait. If you're doing a queen and you'd like to add eyelashes, then please don't add eyelashes like this. Okay, I'm going to do like a really big eye. All right, so say here's my eye, and this is the middle part. All right, so don't do this. Don't do lines straight up like this. I see a lot of times people making eyelashes like that. That's not how it would go. Okay, so I'm going to erase that. All right, if this is the nose here, and this is the eye on that side of the nose, you're going to make a line going out towards the edge of the head. So on this, it would be like this. You go out like that, right? On this side, it would go the opposite direction, out like that. And then each of these lines are going to go slanting to that side, just like this one. Not straight up, but it's slanting like this one. Okay, slanting like this one. Once you get right above the eye, then you might be able to make it go straight up and then reverse the direction on the other side. So the only one that's straight up is the one right above the eye. So if I do that on here, then the only one that's up is right there, and the other one's this way and that way. Okay, again on this side, you would go the opposite direction, almost straight up above the eye, and then you can reverse it. All right, so that's the way, if you're going to put eyelashes, you can do that. You can have a king with eyelashes, but you don't want to make them quite so long. You can make them small. So I just wanted to correct that because so many times I do see people making all of the eyelashes just straight up. Whether you're doing a king or a queen, we're going to make the hair long because, again, I showed you those pictures where the king and the queens were from the medieval times, so they had long hair back then. So let's take a line from this where we extended it. Let's take a line down. Now you could go straight down, or I'm going to just kind of curve that up at the end. So this could be for a king or a queen. Either one would be fine. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And then if you would like to add like a little swirl or something in there, or just lines like you see in the regular playing card like that, you can do that. I'm just adding a few little swirls, and maybe one here. Okay. It looks like the head is cut off right now because we haven't added anything up there yet. Now I always get questions, how can I add a beard? What kind of beard can I add? Can I add a goatee? So I just want to show you some different ones that I've done just to give you an idea if you are doing a king or a jack, or if you want to do a joker that is male. There's some ways to do it. So these are just some ideas. So you can make a mustache that is kind of curly, like these swirls in the hair. You can make a curly mustache like that. And you can make a goatee by just adding some lines like this below the lips. That's one way to do it. Okay, here's another way to do it where I actually just drew in the mustache and I drew in the beard. And I actually went below the face. So when I drew the beard, I came down a little bit from that and then I erased the chin line. So it's just a little bit longer. That's another way to do it. Okay, in this king, see the face originally went right here. So I came down below that and then I erased that out because I wanted a little bit longer of a beard for this king. And just another way, you can see the eyebrows are kind of pointing down on this one, and it's a little bit shorter here. Lots of ways to do this, lots of ways. And here's the queen. All right, back to the portrait that we're working on. So if you want to add some details here, you may do that, and you can make it into whatever you like. For now, you can always come back to that. For now, let's go ahead and work on the top here, because right now it looks like there is no top to the head. You can make any kind of crown that you would like. In class, I do have these little handouts for you. You can see different kinds of crowns. These might give you some ideas on what kind of crown you would like to have. There's some joker hats and different kinds of crowns on here. You can also look up some crowns on the internet. You could look up actual crowns. You could look up playing cards and the kind of crowns that they have. One really easy joker hat to do, and I'll show you how to do that because that's the one that's most requested. I'll show you how to do a joker's hat. At this time, if you're not doing a joker hat, you can just look at different kinds of crowns and work on doing the crowns. And you can, if you're adding things to the face, you can take a few minutes to start to do that. But if you're doing a joker's hat, you can follow along with me right now to get that done. When you're doing a joker's hat, you need where the top of the head would be. So right here would be the top of the head. You also need that if you're doing a crown, because obviously later your crown is either going to be so tall that you can't see the top of the head, or you need to make sure that if the crown would be shallow, then the top of the head would be drawn so you can see it between the crown. Otherwise, it's going to look like somebody cut the top of your head off. So you don't want that. So if I'm doing a hat, it completely covers my head. So I have to make sure that I put a little mark here where the top of the head would be. Now I don't need that line. I just need a mark there. So I'm just going to put a dot there. And for the hat, I'm going to come up just a little bit on either side, not from the face, up from where the hair is on either side. Same thing if you're doing a crown. You want to come out from the hair, not up from the face. And if I'm doing a hat, the joker's hat, this is just a really easy way to do it. I'm going to make this like a big V, like that. And mine's going all the way, I'm actually touching the top of the paper. So I'm going all the way up to the top of the paper. And then I'm going to go from this part of the V that's touching the top of the paper, and I'm going to go out like that, beyond this. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Go beyond it a little bit. So it looks kind of like a really big stretched out M. And then I'm going to go from this point out to the edge of the hat. Now, if this is longer, you can make it longer. You can make this go all the way down like this if you want, and then make a really long part of the hat. But whatever you do on one side, you want the other side to match. So I wouldn't want one short like this and then one long. So I either have to decide, do I want it long or do I want it short? So I'll just make this one a little bit longer. Okay. And sometimes they have like little things, bells or something on the end. Now for the one that comes forward, I'm going to right here at the point where the V is, I'm going to put a line like that. And then this is, we call this foreshortening. That means it doesn't look as long as these, even though it actually is, because it's coming straight at you. And then you'd have whatever's on the end there. And that's just an easy way to make part of the Joker's hat. And this would be on the other side too. Typically, Joker's hats will have like maybe 4 of those parts that come down, or maybe 3. Maybe your Joker hat only has 1. And you would have that off to just one side. That's okay. But this is just a super easy way to do it. Whatever you're doing for your outfit, you want to match what your person is. So if you're doing a Joker, you're going to want to make this a Joker's outfit. And in that case, a Joker represents pretty much all of the suits. So I have the different suits here. There are clubs, hearts, spades, which is kind of an upside down heart, and diamonds. So if you're doing a Joker, you can represent all of those or none of those. If you're doing a king, a queen, or a jack, you're going to want to choose one of those suits. And in your outfit, you want to reflect that somehow. So again, let me go back to my examples. In this one, it's the Queen of Hearts. So I have hearts on the crown. I have some hearts in the outfit. King of Spades, I'm putting spades on the crown and on the outfit. King of Hearts, you see some hearts on the crown and on the outfit. King of Diamonds, I'm putting diamonds. Okay, so you can see, even without putting it in the corner yet, you can see just from the outfit what suit it's going to represent. Now I'm doing a Joker, so I'm just going to kind of do the Joker collar. And this isn't the only kind of Joker collar. Again, you can look up pictures to see how you would like to do this. And there's my Joker. You can even have a cape, especially if you're doing a king or queen. Notice how I've drawn this all the way out to the edge of the paper. So if I take this all the way out like that, that could be a cape. And then you could color that a different color, or you can add like folds or wrinkles, so that can be a cape. It also looks better in your final card if it goes all the way out to the edge. Otherwise, it's going to stop short of the edge. So I do like to add something that goes all the way out, and then how you color that's up to you. So at this point, you just need to take some time to work on the design for the outfit. Make it interesting. Don't just make it really plain. Portrait playing cards are very, very detailed, intricate designs. So if you can see this, look at all those different kinds of designs. Sometimes they're holding a sword. You can always add that if you want to. But look at all those designs. They're not plain. So I want you to take some time and add your designs on here. I could add a whole lot more to this if I wanted to. But I'm going to give you a little time now before I show you how to turn this into a mirror image. Because again, cards have a mirror image. Now theirs is in reverse, but ours is going to not be in reverse. But it's still the same thing on the top and bottom if we divide this in half. So I'll show you the technique for doing that.